Hello, people of the internet, YouTubers, web crawlers, DIYers, professionals if you made it over here. Lou here. No longer of Jersey Shore fabricators. I know I did a video, but to make it clear, we are no longer in New Jersey. We are down here in South Boston, Virginia. So the new name of the shop is SOBO, South Boston, Fabrication and Restoration, or SBFR. So, been a while since I've been able to put out a video. I was working on getting a new tripod, a new wireless mic system. And, well, this is going to be the first video I try to make here in the new shop. Actual video of me working, not just giving a walk around. Kevin's over on his side of the shop working. We got a lot of things going on. So, what do we got? We got a 2011 Chevy Equinox. The car was scheduled for 2 weeks ago to have a valve cover gasket installed. The customer never came. And now it got towed in with a dead miss. I was able to drive it in and it stalled 3 or 4 times in the couple of feet it took to get it from outside to in the bay here. So now you know as much as I do. So let me walk you through the diagnostic process and see if we can't figure out what's got this thing so sick. Alright, so I got you guys into the car here. And right up there is the cat. Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to sit you down. I'm going to let the car run, and I'm going to do a temperature check before and after the cat, and we'll see how that goes. I don't have a back pressure gauge. Sensor is. So let me start this up and I'll get the infrared reader and we'll see how bad this goes. Let's see if I can keep the light out of your eyes. My car don't run for very long, so. Let's see what we got. Okay, I got 322, 326 before the cat. 370 after. Let's see, what's this again? 340 before.
320 after. 192. 150 through the flex pipe. 190 before the second cat. 101 after. Alright, well, we're definitely getting hotter after the cat here. That's for sure. Now, other signals. Let's take a look at the top, see if there's a front. 02. Okay, so depending on the kind of scan tool you have, you gotta be careful. See, that threw me for a loop. I was getting a catalytic converter code, but I had to go, I have a Zurich 011, and I had to go into the GM Enhanced code reader part of it, and it got something completely different. So what we ended up with was a P0014 and a P0366, both of which are for the exhaust camshaft position sensor, which on these Ecotech 4-cylinders is kind of a problem. So, let me look at the service data on how to test it exactly so that we can condemn it. And if that's the case, this thing should be fixed for about 30 bucks. If not, we're going to dig deeper. Okay, let's try this again with my microphone on this time. All right, so I'm using a Zurich 011 scanner, and there's two ways of looking at this. Let's see if I go into. If I go into my global OBD2. It's going to tell me we got a misfire. And it's going to say cat efficiency, right? Now, I just tested the cat with the temperature gauge. We're hotter coming out than we are going in. So we know the cat's working to a degree. Now, if I go into Chevrolet OEM Enhanced, exhaust cam position sensor, P0014, P0366, and idle speed low. So, my guess is that's where our misfire is coming from, not the cat. So let me look at service data on how to test the exhaust position sensor, camshaft exhaust position sensor, and then we'll go through that and try to condemn that. All
Alright, first things first, let's see if we can't find the connector. Okay. Alright, let's see what we got. Misfire. Cat code, misfire, cat code, misfire, cat code. Okay, well, looks like we got a bad cat here. Okay, so 171,000 miles on this. And we're getting an average, just a P0300. I'm just going through the freeze frame data right now. So, catalyst system, misfire, catalyst system, misfire, catalyst system. So, no particular cylinder misfire. So, looks like we're going after the cats on this one. At least that's the direction to go in. So I'm thinking we're going to do a temp test. So at this point, I'm doing a voiceover because I forgot to turn my mic on. Basically what happened on my scanner, I was looking at my global OBD2 rather than GM specific trouble codes. Those couple trouble codes changed to the exhaust camshaft actuator, which on an Ecotech motor is common for one of those to go bad. So right now I am fumbling with the connector there in my hand to do an electrical test on it. Once I get that apart, we'll be back. Alright, so there's a bunch of video that I had edited out because there was no volume. I was also getting a cylinder 2 misfire. So basically what I'm doing now is I'm going through and I'm checking the condition of the plugs. And I'll be pulling them out one at a time. And you'll be able to see just how bad number 2 is, or I should say was. The plugs have been changed. So I'm going to kind of fast forward through here and just sort of call it out as we're going. Okay, so in a second, there it is, there's number 1. It's a little black, but the tip of it is clean. That's me not knowing where exactly the lens is looking for the whatever's going to be in the center of it, so I apologize for that. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so here comes number 2, and you can see how oil fouled it is, and it is just miserable looking. That was the worst of the 4 that was in there. I'm going to spare you the next 2 plugs. They were dirty, worn, AC Delco plugs. Whether or not they've been changed, I don't know. So we're going to skip ahead, hopefully, to where I have recording on the video here. So at this point, because I didn't have the camera focused on the ohm meter before, the actuators are supposed to have between 8 and 11 ohms. So what I'm doing here is I'm going through and I'm ohming out just to make sure before I condemn it. What ended up happening, let me just catch you up to the end, is that both of them ohmed out correctly. However, because of the amount of sludge that was in the oil, I decided to go ahead and change that actuator anyway, because electrically I was getting everything I should from the computer. Again,
long story short, I did end up doing the valve cover gasket on it, and the entire inside of the motor was loaded up with sludge. So there's no reason for me to think that the passages inside the actuator were going to be clogged up too. Again, I apologize for the lack of audio while I was recording, but I'm still getting used to this new setup.
Okay, so I didn't realize that my mic was off, but what we're going to do right now is I just want to pull one of these guys out because I did my electrical tests. Everything electrically seems to be happy. So now it's a matter of, do we have a clogged screen? Do we have a torn O-ring? Yeah, I know I don't need a half-inch ratchet for that, but that's what I got right here. So, let's see. I can't see down in there. Looks like this has already been done. Now, whether it's somebody playing Swaptronics or not, I don't know. It's got a date up on it. 5/35. 5/35 of 21, yeah. 35th day of March. Let's put this guy. I'm not going to put those locks back in yet because I'm not convinced that I'm done in there. Alright, gang, so here's where we're at. I started the car up and it still ran like crap. So, what ended up happening is I ordered the new exhaust valve actuator, valve cover gasket, spark plugs, and oil. Guess what? Still ran like shit. So, going back in the codes, well, at least the code for the exhaust valve was gone. The exhaust valve actuator. So, that still leaves us with a dead miss on number 2. So, let's see what's going on with that. Okay, so everybody keep your eye on the compression gauge. Yep. We ran through. Matter of fact, he was here last night, and I did this with him, just to show him, look, man, you know, there's really nothing going on here.
Yeah, I like to be able to show a person, so they're not fucking walking away just taking your word for it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, going to number 4 now. So again, the gauge ain't going to stay at 150, but you'll see it move past the 150 mark right there. And there you go. So, we have a bad motor. Alright, so I want to get this car wrapped up, get this video wrapped up. So I'm going to kind of talk to you as I'm putting everything back together here. So, everybody being armchair quarterbacks, let's go back and look at the evidence in reverse order. So we had codes for the exhaust valve actuator and for the cat. Now, electrically, the exhaust valve actuator tested out fine. The issue is that the amount of sludge that was in this motor tells me that the ports inside the valve actuator could have been clogged, although the screen was pretty clean. So that's one piece of evidence. Another piece of evidence was all the oil that was leaking out appeared to have been coming out the valve cap, the oil cap here. So what does that tell us? That tells us that there's possibility of bad rings. There's a lot of blow-by for it to be pushing oil there, because the valve cover gasket and the little boots all seem to have been intact. I didn't see any real evidence of a leak, which is originally how this whole job started, was just to change the valve cover gasket. And I pulled the plugs out, showed you that the plugs, especially number 2, was very, very fouled. So that would have been evidence of a number 2 cylinder problem. Now, if I had a different scan tool, I could have done a relative compression check right then and there, and probably would have saved me a little bit of time and not buying parts for the car, parts that weren't going to fix it. So we made some educated guesses as to what and where the problem could be. Now, moving beyond that, we also had codes for the cat performance. I really couldn't get the car to run long enough to get the cats up to temperature the way I wanted. However, it did get warm enough that I could see that on the front cat, the temperature going out was hotter than going in, ever so slightly. So to me, that rules out the cat. But just to make sure, I pulled out the O2 sensor, started the car up. That would have relieved any back pressure problems. The car's still running like crap. Now, with whatever's malfunctioning in the motor, could have caused a rich condition, and the cat itself could have a clog in it. So I'm not convinced that it doesn't. So that goes back to what I was saying about armchair quarterbacking the evidence here, and why having a good scan tool can mean a difference in some of your diagnostic times. So, kind of like a surgeon who operates on somebody and the patient ends up dying, and sort of close them up and make them presentable for the family. Well, that's what we're going to do here. Just going to put it back together and let the customer determine what they want to do as far as putting a motor in it. All right, so that's it, folks. Show's over. Got a bad motor. Customer's going to do what they want. Again, bad plugs, codes for things that may not have been wrong. Turns out to be a dead cylinder. So, everybody who's an armchair quarterback, let me know what you think. Where would you have stopped and done a compression check? Or check the cat or whatever. That's it. I'm going to go bend metal. All right, until we see you next time. Peace.